The scariest team in the NBA next season isn't the defending champion Denver Nuggets, it isn't the rising Oklahoma City Thunder, and it isn't the veteran powerhouse Boston Celtics. No, the team that has quietly transformed into one of the league's most dangerous rosters is the Houston Rockets. A franchise that only 3 years ago sat buried in the standings, mocked as one of the NBA's least competitive teams, now stands ready to challenge the West's elite. With a 2-time Finals MVP added to a young star who already leads them across every major statistical category, the Rockets have gone from rebuilding to terrifying almost overnight. Not long ago, this seemed impossible. In 2021, Houston won just 17 games, the beginning of a stretch where misery defined their existence. The next year brought only 20 wins, the year after just 22. Technically, the numbers showed improvement, but in reality, it was stagnation, a painful reminder of how far they had fallen since the James Harden era ended. The once proud Rockets were adrift, searching for identity and clinging to draft picks as their only hope. Everything changed in the summer of 2023. Ownership made a bold decision and hired Ime Udoka, a coach who had already proven he could transform a young team quickly. With Boston, Udoka had taken a group of talented but inconsistent players and turned them into a defensive powerhouse and a finals contender in just one season. In Houston, he demanded the same. He preached accountability, effort, and no excuses. Most importantly, he gave the Rockets something they hadn't had in years: a culture. The turnaround was immediate. In his first season, Houston doubled their win total, leaping to 41 victories. Their defense became one of the most feared in the league, and for the first time in years, the Rockets weren't a punchline. They were relevant. They weren't contenders yet, but they had a foundation. But success breeds pressure. Heading into the 2024-25 season, Houston carried expectations. No longer rebuilding, they were expected to compete. That weight showed right away, as they lost 2 of their first 3 games, including a stunning home opener to the lowly Charlotte Hornets. For a team desperate to shed its losing habits, it was an alarming start. Udoka didn't panic, though. He demanded adjustments, and his players responded. By December's end, Houston had rattled off 18 straight wins, reasserting themselves as one of the West's most intriguing teams. Of course, the NBA is a marathon. Injuries and inconsistency always test a team. When Jabari Smith Jr. fractured his hand in January, Houston lost one of its most versatile defenders. But his absence opened the door for Amen Thompson, and the 21-year-old guard seized the opportunity. With his length and relentless motor, he became one of the league's most disruptive defenders, even building a Defensive Player of the Year case. Yet as promising as this was, the Rockets still stumbled, dropping 11 of 16 games in February and March as fatigue and inexperience caught up. But resilience defined them. They finished strong, winning 15 of their last 20 and locking in the number 2 seed in a brutal Western Conference. The Warriors didn't just beat Houston, they exposed them. For all their grit, toughness, and defensive pride, the Rockets had no closer, no superstar who could bend defenses, hit shots under pressure, and carry them when everything else failed. Udoka said afterward that his team wasn't ready for the stage yet, and he was right. But the loss gave Houston clarity. They knew what they needed, and then, in a single move, everything changed. The Rockets pulled off one of the biggest trades in NBA history, a 7-team, 13-player deal that brought Kevin Durant to Houston, a 4-time scoring champion, a 2-time Finals MVP, one of only 8 players in league history to score more than 30,000 points. Even at 36, Durant remained one of the NBA's most devastating offensive forces, averaging 26.6 points the previous season in Phoenix. His arrival wasn't just a roster move, it was a statement. The Rockets weren't content with moral victories or patient development. They wanted to win now. The price was steep. Jalen Green, Dillon Brooks, and a collection of assets were shipped out. But in return, Houston gained not only one of the greatest scorers ever, but a closer with championship DNA. Suddenly, their biggest weakness had become a strength, and they weren't finished. The Rockets re-signed Fred VanVleet and Steven Adams, keeping their veteran core intact. They extended Jabari Smith Jr., ensuring one of their most versatile defenders stayed in place. In free agency, they added Dorian Finney-Smith, a reliable 3-and-D forward who also happened to weaken a rival Lakers team by leaving. They even reunited with Clint Capella, bolstering their front court depth alongside Şengün and Adams. First time in years, Houston wasn't just talented, they were deep. They had the versatility to play any style. They could bully teams with size, spread the floor with shooters, or suffocate opponents with length and defense. And now, with Durant, they had a superstar who could deliver when the game slowed down. Durant brings the half-court scoring the Rockets lacked, capable of punishing zones and bending defenses. Finney-Smith adds shooting that turns probing possessions into clean looks. Şengün, already an all-star, will have more room to operate inside. Thompson can slash in transition. And perhaps the biggest X factor of all is Reed Sheppard, 21-year-old guard, drafted 3rd overall in 2024, showed flashes late in his rookie year after spending most of the season in the G League. Against playoff-bound Lakers and Clippers teams, he dropped 34 points combined, drilling 10 of 18 threes. In Summer League, he looked even sharper, hitting 6 threes in a single game while stuffing the stat sheet with rebounds, assists, and steals. Houston didn't just develop him as a shooter, they tested him as a leader, pushing him to call plays and run huddles. If Sheppard blossoms, he could give Houston the shooting punch that completes their roster. And then there's the defense. The Rockets were already top 5 last season, and now they've only added more. With lineups featuring Thompson, Finney-Smith, Jabari Smith Jr., Durant, and Tari Eason, the Rockets can roll out absurd length and switchability. Few teams in the league can match that kind of defensive versatility. It's this combination that makes Houston so frightening. They aren't just talented, they aren't just young. They have depth, identity, and now a superstar closer. 3 years ago, they were stuck in the basement of the league. Today, they look like one of the most complete teams in basketball. The Rockets' story isn't finished yet. They still need to prove it in the playoffs. They still need to show that Durant, even at 36, can carry them when it matters most. And they still need to grow together as a unit. But everything about this roster suggests that the days of patient rebuilding are over. The Houston Rockets are aiming for something bigger. They're aiming for banners. The rest of the league should take notice. Because the Rockets aren't just on the rise, they've already arrived, and if you're not ready, you're going to get cooked. So what do you think? Do the Rockets finally have what it takes to dethrone the Thunder in the West? Or will their youth still be their downfall? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss our deep dives into the NBA's most dramatic stories.